And what we're going to be covering today is the exact marketing plans 5 MSPs used to add an average of 1.1 million in sales, 2 new MRR clients a month, which was about the average, and $388,163 in additional bottom line profits. That wasn't their total bottom line profits. That was the average in additional bottom line. What marketing campaigns are working best right now to track those motivated high profit clients and generate more MRR regardless of price. And we are in hyperinflation, guys, right now more than ever. If you have not raised your prices in the last 6 months, and maybe I should say, and raised it at least a minimum of 15%, you're going to find yourself negative somewhere in the middle to end of this year, because by and large, just the cost of technicians, the cost of doing business is gone up by 15 to 18%. And so everything's costing more. We know gas definitely is, but all the vendors are going to start raising all their prices. In the business I'm in, getting a speaker, we could get a pretty good speaker for $75,000. Today, they're 150 to 250 plus. Hotels are raising their fees. Flights, everything is more and more expensive to do business. So, when we talk today and just in all the marketing, you're going to hear me more and more talking about raising your prices and finding the clients that are willing to pay those prices, because you're not doing yourself any favors by taking cheap clients. Also, where to start if you're struggling to get more clients and a working marketing plan in place, especially if you're short in time and money. Now, I've already covered this a little bit, but the 1 year increases for the 5 people that you are about to hear from today, from 2020 to 2021, was an average of $1,117 and $2 increase in top line sales, a $388,163 increase in net profits. 23 new MRR clients, that's brand new in addition to what they were doing, and $81,034 per month in increase in new MRR. So the focus of today's webinar is to really talk about what they're doing, see what campaigns work best. And, again, I want to make sure you guys understand that the people that we're going to be interviewing and talking to today, they didn't start out with more hours in the day than you did. They weren't, in a unique situation, some kind of advantageous situation. I think you're going to hear that they all started out the same way that you did. So please don't insult them by saying, hey, these guys must just be lucky, because, I'm in Connecticut and Connecticut's cool, but man, it's competitive, and, if you're down in Atlanta or you're in Texas, of course you're doing better. So don't let yourself fall into that trap, and don't insult them either, because they worked really hard. They had a plan. They did the plan. They implemented the marketing. I think if you talk to all of them, because I would include myself in here, they didn't get everything perfect. Nobody gets everything perfect. So again, if you're sitting there and you're going, well, this might work for them, but not for me because I'm too small, or I'm just getting started. Scott's going to talk about that. I don't have the money, or whatever you're telling yourself, all you're doing is putting a limitation out there, and it's really just an excuse, because it feels better to say, well, of course I can't succeed because I don't have any money. But by saying that, it's legit, because maybe you don't have any money, but it's also a way of getting out of holding yourself responsible for getting the result and growing your business. So I hear what you guys are saying. All right, so let's go over who we've got here on the call. So I have got to get these names right. So David Javahari. Did I get it right? Java.
Yes.
I always said Javahari, but Javahari, like a hairy cup of coffee. I am never going to forget that. Who said, Scott, did you put that in my head? Who said that?
Let's go with that.
That totally was you. Javahari. All right. Badass. All right. So why don't we just call you Badass, Mr. Badass? All right. Because I think that's, you did phenomenal. You had gross revenue increase of 1.3 million, MRR of 150,000. and a net profit increase of 968,000. Brian, and Mary's not on. Where's your better half? Is she actually doing the business closing deals while you're a lazy SOB?
She's on.
Oh my gosh.
She's on, Robin.
Oh, is she on? Where is she?
You can't see me?
Oh, there you
I'm
are.
crushed.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I was going to say, like, what is this lazy bastard doing? Okay.
I'm out selling.
Yeah. So Brian and Mary, Mad Data IO, and they had an increase 168% in gross revenue. MRR was up 398%. Net profit up 1,800%, which is amazing. I've got Roland Parker from Impress Computers, gross revenue 1.1 million up. MRR 103% increase. MRR or MRR clients 103 and MR up 139%. Now, Scott, this is the real, hold on. Let me take a breath. I can't say like Harry Coffee. This is harder. Okay. See, okay.
Hey, think of Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Okay.
Zadagan.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Well, look, if you happen to end up being my spokesperson, I better get it right. So I'll work on that in the meantime. Shield IT gross revenue up 175, MRR up 54,000, net profit up 263%. And of course, last but not least by far is Derek Anderson, BizTech Solutions, gross revenue up 732,000, MRR up 58,269, net profit increase of 972%. So, but David, I'm going to start with you. David is the CEO of Direct IT Corp. They are based in Boston, Massachusetts. He founded the company in 2004. He has 18 employees and he's about 5.1 million. And the 2021 results, he had revenues up 1.3 plus million. MRR was up 150,000, net profit 11,000% increase in net profit. So yeah, David.
Yes.
Dude. So who did you sell your soul to get those kind of results?
Robin.
I cleaned it up. Who did you have to kiss on the cheek? Huh?
Yeah. So yeah, very, very impressive numbers, a lot of marketing, following instructions. And then, we have 3 or 4 target markets, lawyers, manufacturing, and architects.
Okay.
And I was towards beginning of 2021, I was in the tune of sending 4,000 to 5,000 letters and postcards out a month.
Wow.
And following up on phone calls with them.
Okay. So, tell me, so you target lawyers, that's your predominant industry, is that right? Or but you have other
Yeah, I have manufacturing and I have architects. Those 3 are my most common markets that I go after.
Okay. So, we kind of have your numbers here. I was going to ask you to explain it a little bit more, but let me, I think it's pretty obvious that the numbers are great, but to get those results that you've gotten, what would you say is the single most important or successful strategy? It can either be a strategy or campaign that you did that had the greatest impact on what you were able to do here.
Obviously, I start with the fact that marketing as a strategy was my biggest success because I had 0 marketing in 2020 when I joined my accountability group, 0. And I went from basically 0 to what I am in 2 years. I had a lot of success. It wasn't just one of them, but aspirin campaign, Band-Aid campaign, those 2 probably my most successful campaigns that I did. Mm-hmm. That got me to where I am, and quantity, doing a lot of it.
Now, you said you made the calls? Do you have salespeople who made those calls?
Yes, I have telemarketers and that follow up and make phone calls.
Okay. And what was the most difficult thing for you? Like, because, people that are listening here, they might be just getting started, or maybe they've been a member for a while and they just haven't been able to get themselves to implement. What would you tell them? Where would you tell them to start?
Well, the most difficult part was to start spending money on marketing and realizing the value of it. That was my most difficult decision. And that's something I was not doing. So when I started spending money on marketing, things started to turn around for me.
Okay. Now, why do you think you were hesitant to spend the money initially?
Because I had sales. I had one salesperson that would cold call without any marketing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hesitant because I started my business with borrowing a lot of money. I just didn't know what to do, didn't know how to do it. There was no structure in marketing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I honestly did not have someone to teach me, to tell me how to do it. And then till I joined the boot camp in 2019, and that's what things triggered. Okay.
So you were at boot camp in 2019. Is that when you joined?
That's right.
Okay, cool. Wow. So that was like, this has been quick for you, the surge.
It has been very quick. Very fast.
And so you were doing a lot of that marketing in 2020 then. So, you joined in 2019. 2019 was pretty good, right? And then you hit 2020. Did your business slow down? Did you struggle?
No, when I started my accountability group, it was my first meeting was January of 2020 with my group.
Okay.
That's when I had a month of preparation, and then I started my marketing. From January of 2020 to the end of 2021, I grew 3.1 million in revenue in 2 years.
Wow. Was that all new, or was that, how much of that was new and how much of that was
like current clients?
Yeah.
I would say probably 80% was new business in the last 2 years. Yeah.
And doing direct mail.
Direct mail, and calling, tech tips, all the little things that I learned through TNT.
Very cool. Okay. Wow. All right. So hang on there. I'm going to move on just to kind of go through a couple of the other people, and then we're going to ask you all some questions, and I'll take questions from the audience as well. So Brian and Mary Hamilton, Mad Data IO, based in Roanoke, Virginia, founded in 2004, and they have 11 employees. They're at 1.6 million in 2021, and they're currently at an event closing business right now, which is very cool. And last year revenues were up with $985,000, which is, again, it's just phenomenal growth. MRR was up 101,999, and net profit up 1,800%, which is just phenomenal. So, yeah, guys, wow. Again, same thing. Tell me a little bit about your business. Like, who's your target market? Give us a little bit more about your business.
Our target market is mainly manufacturing. That's the crux of what we have. And then after that, it's going to be legal and CPAs. That makes up the bulk of what we take care of those three. Okay.
Now, when you guys came, when did you become members? It was
July of 2018.
It was like 2018, right? And I remember, like, if you don't mind me saying, I think you guys were struggling at the time. If my memory serves, I don't know if you want me to ask that or not.
Yes.
Let's
real.
Yeah, we were failures, and let's talk about your misery and your failures, and how, like,
it was sad. It was sad.
It was a bad day in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real bad day.
Talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind, just because I'm sure there's a lot of people who can identify with that.
We had like $100,000 in debt when we got the letter in the mail, and then we really couldn't do it. So we had to, after we said yes, decided we were going to do it, I had to go to a millionaire and ask him for money to be able to pay for, just to sign up with what you guys had, because we knew this was the right thing for us. And so that's what we had to do. And right when we got back from like going through rapid implementation, this 2 days, we lost our largest customer, which paid us $100,000. It was 1/3 of our revenue. In 2017, we made $330,000. So right when we got back, we had to start selling. Like, nothing was set up, and we had to sell our way out of our problem, which we did. We ended up going to 18, we climbed to 425. So even in spite of the loss.
Wow. I mean, Mary, I know that made you anxious, because how many kids do you have?
We have 5. Yeah.
Five kids.
It
on
was
top of-
not, yeah, 5 kids. Yeah. It wasn't, at that point, like right before I had just had a baby, like a year and a half before we joined you, and like helping in the business. We had just come out of having the business in our home, took a step, put it in like a storefront because I needed to get my home back because I had a buttload of kids, right? And another one on the way. So I was like, we need help. I mean, it was like from a, real standpoint, it was a scary time because, you've got employees, you've got debt, you've got life, and you can't afford like anything. And it's not the easiest to sit here and be like, yeah, no, it was difficult to buy groceries. Like that was a hard time for me. Like, I don't want to get, and that's where I'm like, okay, stop. Like, because we're past that point now, thankfully. But that was a driving force for us was I don't want to be poor for the rest of my life. Like I didn't want to be in this state where like a struggling entrepreneur with that sad violin song of we ain't got no money.
Yeah, I hear that. So what did you guys do? What was the biggest campaign or campaigns or changes or strategies you did to turn the ship around? I mean, you said sell your way out of it, but give us something more like specific.
We did the cross-selling campaign like that. Right when we got back from rapid implementation, we knew that we had to sell security. So we went through our whole stack, like all of our clients, and we started selling, like implementing cybersecurity. We started upselling with cybersecurity. Then that grew. Then the next round, like we had to thresh some more clients out because they didn't want to pay. Like at that point, we were break fix. We had a bolted together managed services like option that we had done. So we really had to grow our business to learn what was managed services, what is managed security, how do we do that and do it correctly. And so we got rid of more clients and then started selling managed services and creating contracts and creating, monthly recurring revenue because we didn't know what any of that was. So upselling and cross-selling was a huge part for that first part of our growth after joining Technology Marketing Toolkit.
Okay.
And then what we did though, we actually copied one of your events that your big event that you did with like the theme of The Greatest Showman. We actually copied that and brought it. Like I watched what you did. We brought it to Roanoke and copied that like in February of 2020. We brought in 5 different vendors that come and speak at your events, and they all came. We had to sell them to buy into us. And that was fun. But we had to sell them on somebody who didn't have anything, and they came, and that event was a huge catapult for us because I just ran the numbers last night just to double check. We did $165,000 in project work out of that. We added, I don't remember, it was 12 or 15 grand of MRR, and it spawned JV partnerships out of that because we never had revenue to hire a marketing person or a caller because we just didn't have it. Because we paid ourselves like $50,000 a year. That's what we were paying ourselves combined, me and her. So we couldn't, the money wasn't there. So we had to
for a second, I was like 50 grand each is 100 grand. Okay. You're like, no.
No,
that was it.
Grand.
That was total.
That was it. Yeah. So like we had to be good. We had to be scrappy and had to be, find an area to be good at. And we always were good at relationships. So we started developing relationships and exercising JV partners because it was the cheapest thing that we could do, because what we spent was our time with people on the phone and developing those relationships, which we're able to get, which led to our success in 2021.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, hang on there. Let me keep moving on. I want to get to the next speaker, Derek Anderson, BizTech Solutions. He's based in Inland Empire, California, which sounds very regal. I'm not even sure where that is. You're gonna have to tell me where that is. Founded in 2006, 14 employees, 2.1 million in revenue. And in 2021, the results were revenue was up by 732,000, MRR up 58,000, and net profit up 972%. So Derek, where
hey, Robin. Yeah, so
that?
let me clarify Inland Empire. So Southern California, our city's Riverside, but not a lot of people know Riverside, but we're in between Orange County, LA, San Diego, right in the middle. And in Southern California, it's known as the Inland Empire. So.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And so again, same question. What do you want? Like, tell us a little bit about your business. Who's your target market? Are you, I guess, predominantly managed services?
Yeah, we're predominantly managed services. We have clients, across multiple verticals. Really a focus, our majority in professional services, so CPAs, law firms, and then also healthcare.
Mhm.
And we really pivoted in 2020 to, we're still, not focused on a vertical, but we're focused on companies that are embracing the remote workforce, work from home. So getting rid of their office buildings, providing them the types of cloud type solutions that can enable them and their teams to work remotely. So that's our go-to, is looking for those types of companies.
Are you guys still mostly shut down out there in California, or how is it out there?
Actually, no, we're pretty good now. Things are opening up, and our little corner of Southern California was actually kind of rebellious, and we stayed fairly open for the most part compared to some of the larger cities.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, because sometimes that plays into it, if you're still locked down and shut down and, so forth. But so what campaigns did you do specifically? What were the strategies, the campaigns that got you the results that we're looking at?
Yeah, so regardless of whether I win this and get to be your spokesperson, I think I can be your spokesperson for your Done For You AdWords service, because that has given us such huge rewards and huge ROI. And that was part of our strategy in 2020 when we pivoted. And I said, okay, how do I reach out and get new business when people aren't in their offices and now they're working from home? How am I going to find them? And it just was like, we got to put money into advertising. You got to let them find you if you can't find them. And so I took the time to develop and refine my sales process, because I never really had one. Hate to admit that, but I didn't. And I had to figure out a way to sell really over Zoom and without ever doing an assessment. Because, especially during mid 2020, like there was no going on site to do an assessment. So I laid down the foundation for that. Started with like Done For You website, then got my sales process, and then started investing in the Done For You AdWords. And that, between I think the SEO work that we did on the website and then our investment into paid advertising, really just started driving leads to us. And then because I took the time to figure out the sales process, I was closing them at an incredible rate. We changed our conversion rate from 10% to 49% last year.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I used to say that the average close rate in our industry was about 25% based on what I had seen. But, it seems like in the last 5 years or so, that close rate has just been, tanking, where 10% is like pretty normal now for most MSPs. So to get that up to, just shy of 50% is, that's pretty amazing. What is there? I mean, like, it's like saying it's the one thing question, but was there a couple things that you go, wow, this really made the biggest difference in your ability to close?
Yeah, it's it was actually, it's so popular in our industry about doing the assessment. Well, if you remove the assessment, they take a lot of time. And I'm not here to devalue them, because, sometimes, often, almost every time after the fact, we'll do an assessment after we close the deal. But I shortened the sales cycle and really came up with a presentation to present our company. So as we do a discovery call, and at that, I tell the prospect right at the front of the call, I'm here to learn about your business and understand why we're here today. And then from there, I'm usually able to get enough information to deliver a proposal, and we standardized our packages. So it's like, okay, you at least need this to do business with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be able to turn around and have a follow-up meeting with them, typically over Zoom again, within 1 or 2 days with a proposal. And I'm having that meeting before my competitors can even get a proposal to them or do it on site for the assessment. And I just really sped that process up. And one of the tricks that I did is, I kind of, took to heart some of the Chris Voss strategies of getting to a that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my ending of the slide. So once I have the discovery call and I'm in my proposal presentation, first 15, 20 minutes, I'm talking about BizTech and what we do and why you want to do business with us. And then I say, okay, I'm going to shift gears and talk about your business. And these are the things you told me in our meeting or on our call. And I'll sum up everything. And I kid you not, almost 100% of the time, they're like, that's right, you got everything. And it's like, that's like the this guy listens. I want to buy from him. I establish that trust, and it's like the sale happens at that point.
Yeah. Were you at the Chris Voss training?
Oh
that
yeah, I've seen
you
Chris
were?
Voss a couple times.
Yeah.
I've reread the book a few times. Like I've really
Yeah.
taken that to heart.
Yeah, no, he's phenomenal. And I love that you're like, what you just said is speeding up that close, like after a couple days going right into coming back with a proposal. So before they even had a chance to meet with anyone else, you're getting that sale.
Yep.
I think you use the audit. Don't you use Frank's audit tool for sales, I think?
I was, and
Okay.
I've actually, removed that now because in this process, the cycle that I've come up with, I'm not really doing an assessment. And yeah, it was just more listening to people of what concerned them, what their problems were, reiterating it back, in the Chris Voss way. And it just established that trust to get people to buy from us.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, excellent. Well, hang on there. I'm going to keep moving on here. I'm going to move to Roland Parker, Impress Computers, who's based in Houston, Texas, founded in 2003. He's got 13 employees and is at 3.5 million at the end of last year. And in 2021 had revenues up 1.1 million, MR up 40,000, net profit up 219%. So Roland.
Well,
now-
it's been quite a ride. We we only went to that road show in Dallas in September of 2020. So it was middle of COVID. My wife had been pushing me, we still have a storefront. We have a computer repair place, and part of our business was managed services. But we'd been trying to do MSP for a while, but it had been a very slow organic growth. So we'd slowly added an odd client here or there, but really we weren't doing much. And eventually Mandy pushed me. She said, it's coming up. You've got to sign up, got to sign up, got to sign up. So we went to the roadshow in Dallas in September, and suddenly I'd push back because I always thought this is too expensive. We can't afford to spend this amount of money on advertising, and we're always busy. How can we take time off to even go to a roadshow? So eventually, after much nagging, she was like, okay, I'll go up and see what this is all about. And it blew my mind. And I was like, wow, listening to Charles speak and the other that the other guys I had presenting was like, wow, can we transform our business the way other people have? And right then and there, we signed up. And at that point, we said, okay, if we're going to do it, let's go the whole hog. So we signed up for the rapid implementation workshop. We organized our Robinized website. Now, we still kept our existing website because that was still generating break-fix revenue. And we were at about 2 million. So we didn't want to give that up, but we wanted to focus. So we said, okay, let's focus on a vertical. So we decided we're going to go after manufacturing, engineering, and construction that we'd had some luck with in the past. We got our Robinized website. We said, okay, we've got one of the hard things we had to make a decision on was going with Keep, because we had spent so much time developing our Zoho CRM. But I felt like if all the campaigns and everything are going to be tied into Keep, we're going to have to make the move. So we made the switch to Keep. And then we said, okay, we're going to have to do these campaigns. So we decided initially on the aspirin campaign, but we needed more lists. We had our current customers, but we needed prospects. So we came up with this idea of just going to the library. We got a library card. We found we could log in from our computer, and we just generated that list from a vertical in our area for that vertical. And we uploaded it to Keep. And from there, we then went and we said, okay, we're going to have non-negotiables. No matter what happens, we're going to send out 120 letters a week. We're going to do 100 calls per day, and we're going to set 1.2 meetings per week, and we're going to close 1.2 deals. And the first time it happened, it blew me away because I'd never believed in actually mailing out. I thought it was just a waste of time. Nobody did it anymore. But we did the mail out. The customer got it. Our sales guy phoned up. The person then said, okay, let's have a meeting. And we decided to personalize our shock and awe box. Even though it was COVID, we hand delivered our shock and awe box. We had got our testimonials that we had done during that rapid implementation. So it was hand delivered. The guy that delivered it is quite personable. He's got a lot of, he's an older gentleman, but with a lot of experience. So he could talk to anybody about anything. He would hand deliver it, have a chat to them, and they'd be like, wow, you're doing all of this. And we're just having this is pre-meeting. And he says, yeah, if you think that's customer service, wait until we sign you up. And by the time I met with them, they had already checked me out. They'd followed up on the testimonials. The guy was sitting there drinking coffee out of one of my coffee mugs that was in the shock and awe box.
That's when you know that's a buying signal.
And I'm like, oh,
wait a minute. You show up and they're drinking out of your mug. You know what I mean? That's a buying signal.
And the process
that's when you know you can charge 20% more. Just like right there, just like, guys, that's a signal, right? You just go, okay, price just went up a little bit.
And the way that we decided to do it is that I'd bring a technician with me. And while we're chatting and finding out more about their business and just more or less having an overall view of their pain points, I then get my tech to run the rapid fire tools assessment. He would do that, and we would schedule our meetings out in between 3 to 5 business days after that meeting. When I showed up for that, so we'd schedule the meeting, we'd then show up with our rapid fire tools, and I'd have the contract with me. And I couldn't believe it. The first time it happened, I showed the guy the rapid files. I showed him how we could fix all his pain points, and he just signed the contract. And I was like, wow, that was the easiest sale I've ever done. And I came back and I said to Mandy, maybe this crazy red-headed woman has actually got something. Maybe this process does actually work.
Wow.
And, we finished rapid implementation in January 2021. We came to the Producers Club conference in Franklin in February, and then we joined Big Guns by May when we went to Florida. So this was all kind of happening real time. We had only just joined, and we just didn't take our foot off the gas.
Wow.
There were times when we said, wow, we're doing all of this work, but we don't seem to have people signing up. And then there were times when we were doing the work and there were so many contracts coming in that our technicians were coming to me and going, you got to stop marketing. This is going crazy. And we said, no, we're not going to take our foot off the gas. I'll get you more technicians. We'll improve our systems. And, we just exploded.
Good.
And the great thing that we found out, being part of this organization, it's not just marketing. We found out how to actually run an MSP, being part of that accountability, coming to the Producers Club meetings, speaking to everybody, listening to the speakers. We didn't even know what a security stack was. We were like, okay, we got an antivirus, we got our RMM tools, security stack. And then we were like, wow, not only can we offer better protection, we can charge for this. And just before this meeting, I came off meeting with an offshore drilling company that could potentially sign up $250,000 in MRR. That would have been unheard of 18 months ago.
Wow.
And yet in that short time, we were able to confidently go in there, get our process down, and now sign up. We just signed up a 178-man architectural company 6 weeks ago. There's no ways we would have done that without the confidence of being part of this group.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. You've just overwhelmed everyone and inspired everyone at the same time, because they're like, holy shit, that was a lot of stuff to do in that short of time. But wow, that is amazing. What's been the hardest thing out of all the things that you've done? What do you think was the hardest?
Making that first decision.
No, yeah.
It really was. Mandy had actually got some of your emails a couple of years ago, and she kept speaking to me about it, and we put resistance, and then she kind of half signed up, but we didn't sign up for rapid implementation. I can do it on my own. And the hardest thing was actually making that first step and making that commitment. And when you sign those papers, you go, wow, that's quite a bit of money. But all of a sudden, when you're going, oh, we increased by 1.3, we're heading to double our MRR again this year. And we're like, maybe it's not so much money.
Yeah. I'll send you a coffee mug. All right. So that way you can feel better about the investment. Very, very cool. All right, Roland. Wow. That is I mean, just and quick too, So, and at this next speaker, Scott, I think Scott, I'm curious to hear you because you were pretty rapid in your growth, your implementation. I know a little bit about Scott's story. I mean, and Shield IT Networks. So he's based in Santa Clarita, California, and founded in 2020. So take that from 2020 to here we are, 11 employees, and he's at 2.1 million. So very, very quickly ramped up. Revenues up 1.3 million, MRR up 54,000, and net profit up 312,000. So Scott, I don't know, Roland's a pretty tough act to follow there, man. You know what I mean? Like, so what do you got for us? Tell me a little bit about your business and how the heck you got started and grew as fast as you did.
Yeah. So, we do co-managed, the commit stuff is what we do, cybersecurity, voice over IP and data nationwide. It's a lot different than a lot of we don't do the traditional MSP work. But that's what we started in February of 2020. What gave me a leg up though is my previous MSP that I started in 1999. I grew to just under 6 million. And before I left that in 2019, we had actually signed up with you at Rapid Implementation Workshop, I think 33. Mm-hmm. We came in third place. And Robin, where I caught the bug from you was it all started, the paradigm shift for me was at the gas pedal versus brake pedal analogy. I remember I had a lot of notes, but that was just the paradigm shift for me. And I applied it at my previous MSP. And at my previous MSP, I mean, you could argue we had pretty good success, just around 6 million over 18, 19 years. But, we were great at keeping customers. We sucked at getting new business, the marketing side of it. And so that was a struggle. And my old business partner at the time just wouldn't, we ran across you in 2010, which is funny. It was a worry doll campaign. I think we met you at San Francisco or somewhere. And we all knew that a multimedia drip system was crucial to success in this day and age of so much noise and a buy cycle that's 6 to 18 months. You got to be in their social media, their mailbox, their inbox, all of the above, their phone calls coming through their phone. And it was just too much for one person to do. You need the automation. So, my old business partner, we did the one worry doll campaign. It didn't work and we gave up on it.
Okay.
So fast forward to 2020, we kicked off the MSP. What a roller coaster. The beginning of 2020, it was
but just to be clear, you had a previous MSP, but then when you started in 2020, you started out cold, flat, correct. Right? I mean, you're a brand new startup.
That's correct. Okay. I mean, I even considered before I started working for sales at a company, moving out of the country, moving to a different state. I thought, if I'm starting over, Robin, what are all my options? Yeah. I looked at Portugal. I looked at Spain. Those of who know me know I'm a boating fanatic. So that's why I need an accountability group to keep me working and not just on the boat.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I looked at all options. So we started literally February 7th. Just as I had left the previous MSP, I got an email to my old account. Is it Jennifer, on the cybersecurity book deal that was coming up?
Yeah.
And just talking to some of my friends and different things, what worked for us is I started ideating with some close mentors and friends about the idea of starting another MSP. The thought that locked into my head is, if I do this, I'm going to run after I had some BHAG targets. My big, hairy, audacious goal was to get some associations. The Printing and Graphics Industry Association and the CPA Society of California, specifically, since that's my home state. We're nationwide, but that's our backyard. Mm-hmm. And so we really went after, I signed up for the book deal, the magazine deal. I mean, we jumped into everything. But just to stay focused, and what went through my mind at the time, it's crazy. This was 25 months ago. It's just a blur. February 7th, I make the decision to launch Shield IT. And then I get the invite, or we look into, okay, what's the next rapid implementation that's coming up? And it was within 3 weeks, I believe, of that date. And then the following one was either May or June or somewhere. What was your next one after that? But anyhow, in 2020.
Yeah.
So every bone in my body said, hey, you just are starting, you're getting the company set up, you know, wait till you're spooled up a little bit more, right? But what really, I remember looking back, stuck with me, Robin, I thought, you know, I know the stats on businesses that fail in the first 5 years. And, you know, like I said, the paradigm shift with the gas pedal, that was in back of my head. And I thought, you know, if I'm going to succeed, I got to hit the, you know, pedal to the metal. So I took another week to think about it. During that week, my wife had a follow-up on something. She had a lump in her breast, and we go to the doctor, and it turns out that it was breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So life hits us, and I'm in the midst of all there and being there for her and supporting her. And everything, you know, tells you preserve cash, go slow. You know, all my friends and family are saying, we get it, you know. And then I just got every fiber in my body was saying, yes, that's that. But if I'm going to have any chance of surviving, and let alone any chance at thriving, I got to do this now. So despite all the feelings, I went against it and I committed. And thank God we did, because after that show, COVID hit. Who knew the world was going to shut down in my first 30 days of business?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
then the next
'Cause
one
you
was
didn't have
canceled.
enough going on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why not? Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because the next one was canceled, right? And you know, where would I, if I would have even survived, the whole trajectory of my business just would have been night and day if I even survived, given those key decisions in those early days. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just crazy, crazy. So out of like all the things, so now you're getting co-managed clients and you're getting them all over the country. How are you getting them?
Oh my gosh, it'd be easier to say, you know, like it's campaign wise, what are we not doing? But all the above, really. We do campaigns, aspirin, poker, postcards, social media. You know, we've done the done for you. But the big ones have been the most consequential to us that I went after. We did, you know, the Rapid Implementation Workshop 37, of course. Which again was like drinking from a fire hose, but since I'd done it in my previous MSP, it wasn't as painful. And so that really helped. Of course, we had great success with that. But the book deal and the magazine cover and the different campaigns is what allowed us to, frankly, jumping ahead, is landing the Printing and Industry Graphics Association in 17 different states, their exclusive cybersecurity partner. And then also the Cal CPA, just in January this year, we became their exclusive endorsed cybersecurity partner.
Wow. That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So because those are going to be two gateways into other clients.
Yes. Everything
Right?
we've done, Robin, for 22 years in my sales process has been one to many.
Right.
You know, because we started off in 1999. I got married in September, started my first MSP 3 months later, went from a 6-figure income to zero, like we all have at some point. And we did associations and we did retailers, but we started off with mom and pop, you know, and then we realized working our way from small chiclet sales, as I like to call them, to Fortune 500, mid-size, and then a couple of Fortune 500 clients, $13 billion companies that we manage their networks. You kind of get to see every flavor of business and which ones you like, which ones are rewarding, which ones are not that good. So everything, though, the common thread is that they had that high dependency on their security and their network. And one to many is what I was getting at. You close one guy, and if it's a retailer with 100 or 200 locations, they say yes to that many locations at once.
Wow.
If it's an association, it's all about who's the trusted technology partner. So these associations, they have, you know, like Cal CPA, 44,000 paying members. when they get a letter on their letterhead that says, hey, we've vetted Shield IT Networks. They're our chosen partner. Here's Scott, best-selling author, this, and that, you know, everything that goes with that, with the credibility that they made the right choice. And my name goes out to them on their letterhead. That's what blows up your sales. Very cool.
Very cool. I love it. All right, guys. So now what I want to do is I want to go to Q&A in general. You know, so guys, if you have questions, I see some up here, and it's funny because I think some of these are from like David, what some of the things that you were mentioning, but I want to hear from everybody. So the question, I think Peter's asking this a couple times, I think, well, no, yeah, he's got it there twice. But when you guys are doing, and I'll just open it to all of you, if you are doing phone follow-up, who is doing those calls for you guys? Like, do you guys have salespeople? Do you have SDRs, sales development reps? Do you have salespeople? Whoever wants to take this, David, I maybe start with you, but then anyone else who wants to chime in, go for it.
Sure, I can actually tell everyone what I went through in 2020 and how I decided that I needed a telemarketer. I looked at borrowing $75,000 on a 15-year term would come out to $550 a month. I figured if I can use that $75,000 and pay for start my marketing and start for my telemarketer, all he has to do is sell one contract for $1,000, and not only pays his own money at $550 a month, which was my mortgage if I went that direction. So it was a no-brainer. I mean, you hire a telemarketer. He makes 100 calls a day. It's going to cost you $550 a month on a $75,000 loan, and he's going to sell a lot more than one in his first year. At this, by the way, all he's selling is the appointment, right? You guys take over, and as business owners, as salespeople.
And so was he full-time? The first one, did you hire full-time, part-time?
Full-time. I went right at it. I said, I want someone who makes 100 calls a day. I don't want to give him anything else. It's going to cost me $550 a month on a loan. And now I have to make sure if you can make 100 calls a day, that's almost $2,400, $2,500 a month. I need 2,500 mail-outs. So I needed to feed him. And the way to feed him was to send those postcards and those letters and anything I could get out so we can follow up on the phone call. So I hit it hard in February of 2020.
And then, and did he work? I mean, is he still there? Did he work out? What did
I have 3 telemarketers now, full-time.
Oh, okay.
Making 300 to 350 calls a day, but it's important for everyone to know where I started.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Does anyone else want to weigh in on calls? And who's
so
doing them?
we took a slightly different approach. As we were getting ready to sign up, we actually found a retired gentleman who had actually been had experience with Infusionsoft. So we got Ian, onboarded him, and we used him during the rapid implementation to actually keep up and going. And, you know, he didn't want too much money. We were able to get the ball rolling, and we just set that standard of, you know, 100 calls a day, 120 letters going out per week. And that's what we built it up on. And it, as I said, we got our list from the library, so that didn't cost us anything. It was just a time of list cleaning, a lot of which Mandy did, and we got a high schooler going through and doing the list cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah, list cleaning. I mean, we do it as a service, but we've talked about not even doing it anymore because, you know, you really can get like anybody, like you can outsource it so easy, or somebody who just has attention to detail to get the list cleaning. Because that's, someone's asking about the direct mail, you know, was it to local businesses in your market, and how do you validate the data? You know, I just want to say in general, you know, any list you can buy is going to have some, you know, incorrect information in it. And there's no list that's clean. I mean, all lists are dirty. And when you buy a list, it can anywhere, or even go to the library, because I think Roland, don't they, it's not InfoUS anymore. Data Axle is what it's like. They're pulling from that, right? So if you
correct. And we actually found that was more accurate. The one time we did go out and buy a list, and I don't know if it was just because it was during that COVID time.
Yeah.
It was just so inaccurate that we eventually kicked up a stink, and they refunded us the money that we had paid for the list. And we just went back to the library, and it does take time, but you can use high schoolers. They want to earn 10 bucks an hour, and they just sat there cleaning the list and then feeding that to our sales guy, who was then putting the information into Keep. But we actually found that the paid for list didn't actually give any more accurate information than the list that we got from the library. But you do have to do the list cleaning, otherwise it's a work.
Yeah, I mean, any list is dirty. So just to answer that question, is anyone else? Yeah, Scott, did you want to in on that?
So we have appointment setters, and then also I have a director of sales. And then when there's a discovery call, what I will generally do is I will be on the call for the first few minutes, right? Just the relational capital, make sure they feel special. Go over some of the things of, why they're on the call and why it matters, and just some high level stuff from, one business owner to another and one executive to another, whatever the case might be. And then I let my sales guy take over from there. And, so it's a team approach. It's so crucial. We tend to want to, I just try to take your advice on not having the marketing person, do appointment setting, and just to leave our marketing manager to focus on what he's good at. But yeah, that's kind of our tiered approach of,
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
We didn't have the money to do like anything. So I had to learn how to cold call. Brian and I had to learn how to do that. And this past year, we've actually invested in, we just now have an appointment setter. So we would do 25 calls a week. And that was our goal. And that's what we started with. So it was very painful and awkward. We had to learn how to do it, but that's the direction we had to go right now.
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring that up, Mary, because on the bigger stuff, actually, with the associations or any of the BHAG clients I'm going after, I'll call on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of CEOs, business owners forget that, you are the CEO of your company. And I've made cold calls. Like one of my biggest sponsors today, which is Kaseya, they spend, that's that technically they're my biggest customer in my business. And you know how I got them? I cold called.
Nice.
I literally just picked up the phone, and it was when Fred started as the CEO, and he didn't know me from Adam's House Cat. And I didn't, you know what I mean? And here's the funny thing. I did it to prove a point to I had two salespeople, and both of them, we were trying to sell, we were just launching MSP Success Magazine, and we were trying to find sponsors for it. And I put all the marketing together, put all the pricing together, and said, go sell this. And a week goes by and they didn't sell anything. And I said, are you making the call? Yeah, we're making the calls. Another week goes by. I'm looking, are you talking to people? Yeah, we're talking to people. And a third week, and I go, okay, nothing's being sold. Like, why is nothing being sold here? And they finally admitted, they said, we don't think anyone will buy this. So I could see it was all head trash. And I said, all right, let me show you something. First call I made, I got through. First call I made, I closed the damn deal. Thank God, because otherwise I would just be like, I sweat bullets if I screwed it up. You know what I mean? Like, but I think there's sometimes like we, as CEOs, we cannot be afraid to talk to customers and talk to prospects. And I see that a lot in the members, all of you that are listening, is they want to do social media marketing. They don't want to do networking. They don't want to talk to people. They want they want to kind of have this marketing happen and orders come in without having to talk to human beings. But this sale you're making as the CEO, sometimes it's you, the CEO, calling somebody up and saying, you don't know me from a sack of potatoes, but I want you as a customer, and being, and doing it in a more elegant way than that. But it's not all bad.
Yeah, you're totally right, Robin. It cracks me up because when my former MSP that we did zero marketing and we got it up to just under 6 million, the one thing I got 90% of our business from was cold calling. And this was retailers that were VF Corporation, $12 billion retailer, Guitar Center, $3 billion company, just picking up the phone, me to them. And, it took time, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we had pretty good success using the retired guy because he had a different approach to maybe a youngster, phoning them up with a bit more experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I would always do that on-site but I would take a technician with me so that he could do the running around and I wasn't distracted. I could just sit down and really focus on getting to know the customer a bit better. And, you know, you never know what you can find out, that shared interests and that type of thing that you're not going to get if you're just sitting there. And I never take the approach of trying to sell anybody anything. It's more finding out more about their company, what it's all about, and then coming back with a solution. And I think the first time they think that you're trying to sell them something, they almost want to back out of it. But if you never take the sales approach, I think it works really well.
And heck, and what not to do, Camp, Robin, you'll appreciate this one, is we outsourced, you know, the appointment setting for a 6-month period. And the only thing, you know, we lost was $40,000. And so that was a lesson. I know, Robin, you told us not to do it, but yeah.
Bringing in.
I'll say too, for me early on in my career, I mean, I started off one-man band like most of us probably did. And, you know, when I first started figuring out like, okay, I got to hire people and I got to, you know, grow the business. That's when I started making the calls myself. And that really helped me get comfortable talking with business owners, you know, years ago and figuring out what to do. And I started landing clients that way through making those calls. And over the years, we've tried to, you know, we're still, I hate to admit, like fairly unsuccessful at doing the calls and the direct mail. We're finding other ways, but it's something that we're still constantly striving to do and actively trying to hire somebody to make calls for us right now.
Right. Okay. So I'll just remind, because I see there's questions. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. Actually, next week, I'm actually re-delivering our appointment generating miracle, which is all about hiring, compensating, managing an appointment setter and what we call an SDR, sales development rep, sometimes called a BDR, business development rep. So if you're coming to boot camp, you know, that's included with boot camp, by the way. So we're kicking that off next week, and those sessions are going to be recorded. So if you can't be on live, you know, they're up there, and we're going to leave them up there in perpetuity. So, you know, however long it takes you to do that. But I will, just because I see some questions coming in on this, and just to satiate everybody on that, that's going to be next week. So if you're coming to boot camp, that is part of the bonus that you're getting there. Okay, so Peter asked a question, and it's and maybe we can well, no, let's just take this, I guess, in this one question. But Peter's saying, how is your pricing relative to your competitors? And what I'd like for you guys, whoever wants to weigh in on this question, is we know we're in hyperinflation. And I don't know if you guys have raised your prices yet, but if you don't, you're going to need to. I'll just give you all a little.
Robin, you keep talking about hyperinflation, but Zimbabwe had hyperinflation. That was 254 million%. So when you're talking about double digits, that's like, it's only 2 digits. That can't be hyperinflation.
Well, for us, we're little neophytes over here. So, you know, this is like, you know, this is a big deal for us. But just to give you some data, like we track the financials of a number of MSPs through with our relationship with Greg Crabtree and some of the things that we're doing with Producers Club. And what we've seen, sales in general, in the rolling 12 for most of our members is up 20%. If you look at January this year, it's up 26%. So month over month, it's like, so usually January is kind of a slow month, but it's been up 26%. We're talking 20% growth. Gross profit is down 3% across the board. And what that tells me, when you have a 20% hike in growth and a 3% drop in gross, what's happening is it's labor, and the technical tools are getting more expensive. So the challenge everybody's going to have, if you guys haven't raised your prices now, you are going to have to raise your prices. I mean, because technical labor is up 15 to 18% right now. And I know everybody's dealing with that, where you either have to pay them more or they're going to get recruited away. So I want you guys to kind of answer the question, I guess, I don't think anybody on this call is the cheapest, right? But where are you relative to your competition, and how do you dealing with cheaper competitors?
So I can start it off. You know, we're about middle of the road is usually how I tell clients. You know, there's always you got the different groups of buyers, right? Always make sure out of the gate, you know, you tend to get the type of clients that are similar to your style of company. I don't go after the low price buyers. They'll leave you for the next lowest price like that. So usually we'll explain it that we're about middle of the road. We're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but when you take the value add stuff we do for our specific target market, there's no comparing. It's just, we're absolutely the best value if they're the right candidate. And then it's my job and my team, the number one thing I train our sales team on is qualify or disqualify early and gracefully.
Yeah, I think that's important, is early on, if you can just say that that person is not prepared to pay the price that you're looking for, then it's better to walk away.
Yeah.
And we actually had a customer say it's crazy expensive, and 6 months later they came back and signed up because they just weren't getting the service.
Yeah, we're turning away more business now that's coming in, qualifying them to make sure we're selling at the prices we need to sell. And we've increased over 25% across the past year, and we're still kind of middle to high compared to our local market. But we've learned the hard way of, selling at a lower price and then losing our ass on it later, and we just won't do it anymore.
Our growth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Mary, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, our growth we had talk about upselling, right? And it's very hard because you're going to people, the clients this past year, that total MRR was $20,000. Okay. We had to upsell it to $60,000 of MRR. And that was hard for them to do. But also explaining to them, what's the cost of you losing your company? And so just to everybody else's point, it's the same thing with value and service. And then what tools you actually have. Like, I'm not giving you free Gmail, and I'm not giving you the free AV to protect your stuff, but walking through them, that relationship that you build, and you have to know your stuff to talk to them. That was a big thing for us. And we still, like, this year we have to raise our prices again. Like, I've already told all of our clients, and they're like, it's fine. We understand it's coming, and that goes to relationship, but it's hard. That's a really hard conversation to have with people.
Plus,
Yeah.
I mean, we are higher. We came at them in more of a consulting role to, like, it was just as an IT, we asked the questions of, like, where do you need help? Forget about IT. Where do you need help with? They would mention culture or other areas. So we try to find them people that would meet the needs of other areas outside of what IT, and immediately found us. They would tell us, like, you're worth every penny that we're paying you, so they appreciate the fact that we brought more than just IT to them, addressed other business issues. So
I totally agree as well with Brian. We are average 10% higher than our competitors. And I want to say, it's not about your price. As long as you're within ballpark, 10% to me is within ballpark. It's about your presentation. It's about how they look at your company. As Brian mentioned, I don't walk in and say, how do I help you in IT? Usually my first sentence out of my mouth is, how do I make your company more money? That is how I start my conversation, my sales process. And it's no longer become an IT issue. Yeah, we'll take care of your IT. That's no problem. But how do we make you more money? That's where I start. And then price becomes irrelevant.
Very cool.
yeah, I mean, one of the things that everyone, how do you differentiate yourself when you have a competitor who's selling tools just like you? And I just like David, I get out my wallet, my driver's license, show them, it's like, great, they have a driver's license just like me. Now let me tell you what I do different than them. So, like, that's one of the things you've always told us, Robin, was like, okay, so they say you have great customer service, great. They say you have great security. That's what you're saying the same thing as them. So what do you say different that makes them go, yeah, I'm willing to spend more money with you? When they walk out of the meeting, they feel like you get them and like they really understand us. A customer will pay more if they feel like you get them. You really get them. So.
Yep.
I think the main thing is when you're having that FTA is really getting to understand the client and actually getting to know them a lot better and how you can benefit them. And at some point, obviously, you have to have had a price conversation, but none of it is ever going to be about selling. It's really just how, find out more about them, find out more about them personally, and how you can actually come up with a better solution for them.
Yeah.
And
I would venture to say that there are a small percentage of people where they literally, like, if you charge $150 a seat, they literally can't afford that. They can't write that check there. But I think that's a very small percentage. I think most price objections are really about something other than price. It's that they don't quite trust you. You didn't present well. There was somebody else who just connected with them on a deeper level. They feel more confident with, you know, when I've done literally thousands of interviews now with people who buy managed services. So, you know, in my research that I do, and a question I always ask is, well, why did you pick Roland? You know, I mean, I'm sure there's other MSPs around here that are cheaper. You could have got it cheaper somewhere else. Was he the most expensive lead? And why did you pick him? And over again, people would say, I don't know. I think he was somewhere in the middle. I mean, like, this is kind of what they say. I don't even remember really. Or they'd say, no, he wasn't the cheapest, but I don't really remember where he ranked. I just felt like, and they would all say that, and they would always use those words. I felt like I could trust him. I felt like they could do the job. I felt like they were the most competent. I felt like they were the most knowledgeable. I felt like they got us the best. And so it really, when you're getting price objections, I think it's about something else. And okay, so I got to be mindful. The questions are blowing up. Let me just kind of let me take a quick time out. I was going to ask everybody about the two biggest objections people have to doing marketing, of course, is I don't have the time and I don't have the money. I feel like, David, you kind of covered that. Roland, you definitely covered that and answered that, I think, for most people. Well, everybody here. I mean, even Mary and Brian, you guys had to borrow money to do marketing. I mean, I think we've covered that aspect of, you know, the money investment. I hear a lot of times people saying, I just don't have time to do marketing. As quick, I need to do this sort of rapid fire. David, I'm looking at the list here. So I'm going to start with you because you just happen to be appearing on the top of my Zoom the way I'm looking at it. What would you say to someone who's saying, I just can't find the time to do marketing?
Well, I'm going to add one more thing, Robin. I had the code from Henry Ford on my office in February of 2020, when he said, stopping marketing, spending money on marketing advertising, it's like stopping your watch to save time. It doesn't work. So you need to spend money. You need to put time aside. Sales and marketing, and I'm going to answer 8 other questions in here too, is what they bring you good text. Good text doesn't bring you good sales. If you sell and you market well, you have a lot of money. You can afford a lot of good text to come in. It doesn't work the other way. So without sales and marketing, it's like stopping your watch to make time stop. It doesn't work. You gotta find time. You gotta find money. You gotta do it. Mm-hmm. That's the only way to grow. Good text won't make you grow.
Right.
In my
Roland.
opinion.
Yeah, Roland, what would you say about the time?
You know, I said to Mandy, like before we went up, like, how do I take the time away when I'm so busy and you want me to go to this roadshow? Then after that, then you're saying, well, now I've got to take time to do rapid implementation. Then if you know, there's only so many hours in a day, but if you commit to doing it, you're going to get it done. If you always keep putting it off, it's never going to happen. If you commit to doing it, the other bits and pieces that you're doing, you find a way to get it done. And if you can always do admin work later on, but you've got to do your marketing during those working hours. You've got to speak to people. You've got to be meeting with people. You've got to be networking. You've got to do things like your weekly producers club. And I think we're in 3 different groups within Robbins at the moment. I would have thought that would have been unheard of a year ago, that I could spend that much time listening to other people. But if you carve out that time, you just said, that is what I'm doing between this hour and this hour. The rest of it all gets done one way or the other. But if you don't do that, nothing is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you don't change what you're doing, nothing's going to change.
Right. All right, Mary or Brian. Mary, you're unmuted. Maybe talk about the time, because you have 5 kids, running a business.
You make time for what you want. Like, if you have that approach, if it means something to you, you're going to make time for it. If you don't want to grow, then you're not going to. If you want to lose weight, what are you going to do? You're going to make time to do that. If you want to spend time with your kids, you're going to make time to do that. So for me, it's always whatever you want the most, you're going to make time for that. There's just no excuses. We all do it. We all have time. So you're going to invest it somewhere. It's just, where are you investing it? Is it like at home on the couch, or are you reading that book to better yourself?
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, we all have this. Yeah, we all have the same amount of time in the day. I would say, like, either you stay up late, create your cross-sell spreadsheet, or get up early and create your cross-sell spreadsheet and just do it. I mean, the difference between a person who's successful at it and not is that somebody figured out to take the time to take something away to replace it with marketing. You have to make the time. You can create that time.
Mhm.
Nobody's got extra time in the day. Nobody's getting 27 hours in a day.
Yep.
So,
Yep. All right, Derek, what would you say?
I share the same sentiments. It's all about maximizing the value of your time and spending your time on what's going to deliver the most value to the business. And, if you're sitting here, doing the tech work or, menial tasks, like, that's not time well spent. You're just being busy, killing time, and you feel good because you crossed a few check boxes off of a to-do list. You got to focus on, the top 1 or 2, 3 things, 3 at most, of what really drives value in your business. Where is your time best spent? And for us, it's focusing on the sales and marketing and the growth of our business. There's no better value that us as owners can bring to our businesses. And it's just like everyone else says, no excuses. Make the time, find the time. You can find the time to, like, go work out or go get lunch. Like, you have to find the time and commit to doing it.
Tighten everything up. Yep.
Yep.
Scott.
Yeah, I would say, how can you afford not to make time? You only drift in one direction, right? And I can speak on both sides of it, of what not to do. For my previous MSP that we got just to about 6 million, that was at the peak. We hardly ever did any marketing, and you only drift in one direction. So you're going to lose customers to being sold, to closure, going out of business, right? Competitors, all this stuff. So really, when you realize that, how could you not? I mean, you make time for what matters, as others have already said. And, you're getting bashed by the waves and you're in there in this fight. You made the decision to get in the water, frickin' kick butt and get past it, and catch that wave to use that force to your advantage instead of getting beat up. So it's an excuse. I think we've all been there. I've done it to the nth degree. So
Okay, very cool. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up because I know you guys are all asking, where do I start? And so and there's a ton of other questions. And guys, pricing, we're doing a pricing survey right now with MSP Success Magazine. So we're going to get that to you at boot camp. I'm going to be going over what we're seeing, the financials of many of the MSPs that are in our group. Where are they going, up, down? Where are people headed? I can tell you right now, sales are up for everybody. Margin is the thing we have to be mindful of, I think, now. And we're going to be talking about those trends at boot camp. But one of the things that I learned from Tony Robbins, and I got to tell you, when he first said it, I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now that I've grown and matured as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And he said, you never leave the point of making a goal or an inspirational moment without taking action towards it. And so, like, if you say to yourself, if this inspired you and you're reading their essays and you're saying, I really got to get after that marketing. I know I can do it. The industry's up. There's a good opportunities out there. Now is my time. You want to take some kind of action, because if you don't do something right now, when you're inspired, when you're focused, when we've got if you go, well, I'll work on that later, and you get off the webinar here and sometimes, you go, well, I'll get to it later. Well, guess what? You go right back in, you're going to open up your inbox, you're going to go get a snack, you're going to go whatever, go to bed. Nothing's going to happen. And your inspiration, your motivation wanes. And then you're back to where you were. And so being on here or being inspired, it goes away and you lose that momentum. So that's why he said, you got to take an action. You got to do something that is going to, like, put a permanence to your decision. When I, years ago, when I was getting way overweight, and I said, I got to stop. I couldn't just keep setting goals and stuff. I signed up to go to talk to somebody who could, a nutritionist and a weight loss person. She put a plan together for me, and I know how to do this stuff, but I knew I had to do something. I had to make a commitment. I had to do something that was going to hold me accountable. So I would, if you say, where do I start? That's where you want to start. And I have a recommendation for all of you who are sitting there going, hey, I need to do something. I need to get my marketing going. I need to find more engineers, but I can't find more engineers until I get more sales in here because I can't afford them. But I just want to tell you, what the recommendation is not for anybody who's just too lazy to put in the time and money and the effort in the business development, because guys, I don't sell get rich quick programs. I mean, that's the downside of everything I do, because I joke about this, but I always say my superpower is making a lot of work for people. And like everybody laughs when I say that because they know it's true, especially my staff, right? And so if you're just going to make the excuses of, well, I'm small and I don't have the time and I don't have the money, over and over again, we hear that. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you. It doesn't solve any problems. It gives you no progress. The only thing it is it gives you an excuse for not taking action. So if that's you, then this is not for you. Any MSP that's just going to insist, nobody's spending money on IT and everybody shops on price, or you got to have a lot of money to succeed. Any of those stubborn absolutes that you're going to cling to that just simply get in your way, or if you're just too cheap to invest in your business, I really believe you cannot grow your business parked on your wallet. You've got to invest, expecting a return, an ROI without any kind of investment of either financial and sweat equity. That's actually the definition of greed. If you want a real definition of what greed is, it's not somebody who's got rich because they worked hard. That's not greed. That's a reward for doing good work. What greed is expecting some kind of return without overwhelming investment in effort and your own skin in the game and finances. And if you want to know how to get the campaigns and strategies that these 5 use, my recommendation is that you sign up for boot camp. It's over at robinsbigseminar.com. So imagine, like, the average that they added was 1.1 million. That was the average, and 23 new clients and 890 plus in net profits, right? So if somebody could hand you that and say, here is not a theoretical marketing plan.
This is a proven thing. This is what people have actually done.
Right.
You cannot buy that.
Exactly. Well, but if I was to say, well, how much would that be worth? I mean, let's say you don't even do 100%. Let's say you half-ass it and you get 50% and you only generate $500,000 in revenue, right? Would you be willing to pay $5,000 for that? Would you be willing to pay $50,000? $50,000 would be 10% of the what you would generate. And I mean, any investor would argue all day long that $50,000 to generate $500,000 in recurring revenue. And these, when you do these marketing campaigns, it's not like you implement this and then never use it again. I mean, these things you build and build and build. And so the reason I'm so passionate to get members here, it's not like I make a shit ton of money off your $1,500 in ticket, but what it does do is it gets you involved. It gets you inspired. I mean, Roland, you spoke up and you said a lot of it was just mindset of going, I'm already busy. I don't have the time for this. Why the hell do I want to go to this? And it's just making you realize there's a bigger future. There's bigger opportunities.
And sometimes you got to step back. And when you go to those events, it's just such an energy boost. And then you see all the success stories of how other people have done it. And that really was the best decision we ever made. We've spent a ton of money on marketing and we've had very little out of it. This is probably the biggest bang, the most profitable we've ever been. And we've been doing, we've been in the industry for nearly 20 years. And it's actually really only the last year that the business has really taken off.
Exactly. So,
and the other thing, Robin, the other thing you get is you're in the room with other MSPs that have a real give it forward attitude, that they want to help you. They want to give to you. They people, if you're willing to ask, they'll spend time with you. Like I guarantee any of us that are on this would more than happy to spend time with you. That I can answer that without even blinking. But because just about the culture that's been created at Technology Marketing Toolkit, that people just give. And so like people will give to you their time, they'll give to you their plans, they'll give to you how to lay out a sales plan, how to properly structure your sales deal. I mean, like they will walk you through that step by step if you'll just if you're willing to implement and listen. So there's so much there than just what you get from the stage. It's the community itself that you get that really, that's the real power of this. Everything you get in the meetings are awesome, but then it's also the community aspect that's like, it's second to none. I mean, it really is.
Where else can you go where you've got people in the same industry that could be your so-called competitors actually giving you advice on how to run your business? I've never seen it before.
Yeah, you're right. And to Brian's point, I remember asking like a year and a half ago, it was only 6 months in, and I asked somebody on the panel a question about something I was struggling in with recruiting techs, like something we're all facing, right? And then later on, I'm in line for food, and Mike and Charles came up to me and started giving me some input. Hey, I heard you asking that. What about, I told them last time I was in Nashville just a few months ago, I said, I did what you told me and it worked. I went from being upside down to losing 2 of my top guys to, and this was just the community aspect, like Brian's talking about. Nuggets everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, like I'm telling you, this really, it really is a game changer. I'm always just stunned that somebody doesn't want to. Now I know there's some people have legit reasons, they might have a very sick family member they have to take care of. There's life situations. I totally understand there's some of those, but most of you do not have such situations. We're like every year it's like, okay, for years it was, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. COVID was, hey, it's COVID, I can't come because of COVID. And then now, guess this is the new objection, like my sales team are running into, I can't afford the gas. And, I'm just like, honest to God, you will find any reason to get out of coming to school. You know what I mean? Get out of doing your homework and get out of coming to school, and I said, I went on a little mini rant. I was like, if you are a grown man and you are running a business and you cannot afford the gas to come to an event where you're going to get the blueprints where these people have added $1 million on average to their business, right? You ought to be willing to crawl naked over rusty nails and broken glass to get your ass to that event under any circumstance. And they won't do it. And, I still don't have the time. I don't have the money. I can't afford the gas. I can't take the time away. Blah, blah, blah. My wife's going to be mad. They like to blame the wives, by the way. I'm on to you all.
Yeah. Yeah. They blame the wife, and I've got kids and I can't find a babysitter. I'm like, I got 5 kids. I found a babysitter.
Yeah.
You can go.
No, but it's like the men, they're like trying to tell it's their wife. I'm like, give me your wife's phone number. I'm going to talk to her. Oh, no. So it's bullshit. Yeah.
Well, and the thing about that too, there's a lot of other industry events, and there's always maybe a sales and marketing track or a session. But this event, the community, hands down the best part. But this is sales and marketing focused. So if paying for the gas is a struggle to get there, well, then find a way to get there and learn how to come and grow your business. That's the bottom line, because there's not a better event, in my opinion, that's going to do that for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think that's it, guys. If you had any other questions, we'll take the questions. We'll try and get it to the people who are appropriate and get those answered. But because of time, we're going to have to wrap up. So go to robinsbigseminar.com, get registered.
The energy at boot camp is just absolutely unbeatable. One of the things Robin has done is figured out a way to bring together a group of people who normally would be in competition with each other and create this open forum where we can talk, we can share, and collaborate.
Robin and her entire team are enormous. I've never had anybody do this much for me and for my business.
I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Are you ready for this? All right. The winner of this year's 2022 Better Your Best is David Javahari.
Everything that you do seems to be working. We're on target this year to grow from 2.3 million last year to over 4 million this year, just taking off like wildfire. So thank you.
She did a better job selling it than you.
And this is why I pay Robin, right? This is why we're a client.
That one of the top reasons that startups and small businesses fail is actually they're overfunded. So I wanted to put that all in The Power of Broke to show people
you know, you don't need money. You have to build a community.
I love Robin. I think she's the smartest person in our space in the world. And
there you go. We got that on video. I want that.
it's pretty rare I go somewhere even before I say anything and write 2 pages of notes, but you know, you're always learning.
A lot about the health of any business from just 2 numbers, revenue and free cash flow.
Like if you're coming here and spending your time this way and you're not growing, you're an idiot.